And welcome back. Good morning once again. My name is Victor Oloo. The show right now still continues, and with me in studio is MP Godfrey Osotsi of ANC Party. We are just about to kickstart this debate right now in Eye on the Politics. A lot happened since last week on Thursday, Friday, over the weekend, and now today is Monday. We just need to get into the details on what has been happening and so far what is there. Mheshimiwa, once again, karibu sana.
Good morning.
Good morning, and
good morning
to see
to all the viewers.
Absolutely. How was your weekend, sir?
Very wonderful. I spent some time with my family.
Yes.
And went to church, and I did a lot of my own private things.
Yes.
And I think it was a wonderful moment.
Yeah. A lot happened over the weekend, and politically speaking,
yes,
a lot happened. And we expect even more to happen this week. But before we go into that, let's run this story. When Musalia Mudavadi, that's ANC leader, saying in Nyeri that NASA is dead and not part of his future, and according to him, he says that, you know what, he's ready to form more alliances. So before we go into the details, let's just run this story on when Musalia Mudavadi was finishing his 2-day tour of Central Kenya. All right, so we'll get you that story briefly. There you have it.
3 years now. After handshake, Musalia Mudavadi, Kalonzo Musyoka and Moses Wetangula appear to have each taken their respective routes away from Raila Odinga. Mudavadi now says NASA is dead. To some, it would seem that Musalia Mudavadi's remarks had been a long time coming for a man keen on forging a political path to an elusive presidential ambition.
NASA is the past. NASA is history. It is the past. Let us now move forward. Let us move forward. Let us build new partnerships.
Across the mountain, the Wiper Party is also busy disentangling itself thread by thread from the National Super Alliance. Kalonzo and his allies have been keen on forging their own political path, independent of what they have termed as empty political promises by those keen on riding on the back of the region to the presidency.
Tumesaidia mzee Moi, miaka mingi, tukakuja tukasaidia mzee Kibaki, miaka mingi, tukakuja tukasaidia Raila mara mbili, tukaanguka naye mara mbili. Safari hii tumesema hakuna mtu tunasaidia.
Round hii hakuna mtu tutasaidia. So that is from Kalonzo's, that is Honorable Mulungi. But now let's go to what Honorable Musalia said. NASA is dead. We discussed this last week, yes. And now Honorable Musalia says NASA is dead. Is NASA dead?
Well, first of all, I think it's very embarrassing and negative energy.
Yes.
For Musalia Mudavadi to appear like he's flip-flopping on the issue of NASA. You remember some time back they threatened,
yes,
and said that they were going to court to accuse one of the partners, which is ODM, of having taken all the political parties' fund. And I think last week I saw a letter,
yes,
from ODM Secretary General Edwin Sifuna to the Registrar of Political Parties, telling the Registrar of Political Parties that there has been a lot of misinformation,
yes,
from the other NASA partners, and that they were asking Registrar of Political Parties to convene a meeting so that members of NASA coalition,
yes,
can discuss the issues around sharing of funds. And I think that letter has put them in an awkward position, the other NASA partners, because they know the truth. And they have not been telling Kenyans the truth about issues surrounding the sharing of funds. I was one of the signatories of that NASA coalition agreement, and I also was very well informed about the events around the formation and of course the signing of the NASA agreement. I cannot tell you for sure that if I was Musalia Mudavadi or I was Kalonzo Musyoka, I will just shut up, because the information that is there, if it comes out, it will be very embarrassing to them. First of all, it is Musalia Mudavadi who set up a team to draw up the NASA coalition agreement, led by one Dana Mayo. You remember this Dana Mayo is the same one who in 2013 was the lead lawyer in drawing up the agreement between Musalia Mudavadi and Uhuru Kenyatta, the Madimoni agreement. He was again called by Musalia Mudavadi to help in drawing up the NASA coalition agreement. Because Honorable Raila Odinga gave Musalia Mudavadi the leeway to develop the instrument for NASA. Since he was his party was involved in the formation of NASA. So for him now to turn around and appear like he's accusing others. In fact, if there is one person who needs to tell Kenyans about these weaknesses in the NASA coalition agreement, it is him. Because I keep on asking a question: how come we didn't have a problem with the coalition agreement? How come we have a problem with the NASA coalition agreement? And I have an email that I wrote to him a day before the signing of the coalition agreement, and I told him there were shortcomings in the coalition agreement that they were about to sign.
There were some loopholes which were
there were loopholes. He never took it seriously, and I remember he told me that we will cross the bridge when we reach there.
Were the loopholes deliberate, Mheshimiwa?
No, they were not deliberate. It is because the people who are developing that coalition agreement do not understand the issues around management of political parties. Issues like sharing of political parties' fund. What the law provides is that apart from having a coalition agreement, you need to have rules. Specific rules that are going to, for example, state the formula of sharing the funds, what the funds are supposed to do, how they are supposed to be accounted for. That agreement was drawn up, but it was never filed. Whose mistake was it? Honorable Musalia Mudavadi through his lawyer, Dana Mayo. So when he wakes up and start talking ill about NASA, how ODM should change them, he forgets that he's been telling us that he's the founder of NASA. And I remember, and I'm ready to table document anywhere. If you ask me the next time I come here, I come with the document. I'll come with them for the Kenyans to know the truth. Because we cannot live in a society where politicians are coming out and to tell Kenyans lies. We know the truth. I even wrote him a letter on the 18th of January 2018 raising the same issues, and they are happening now. So if I was Musalia Mudavadi on the issues of NASA, I would keep quiet.
He is a NASA
because he's putting himself in a very embarrassing situation. The other day, I think on was it on Saturday, we read in the media that he had said that there is hope that NASA can come together. Then yesterday he changed his tune and says NASA is dead. NASA is dead, but when we go to Parliament, we operate as NASA.
As NASA.
So I think if they are saying NASA is dead, I think the first thing they need to do is to disengage the members from NASA coalition, so that now we reconstitute the committees and House leadership.
He's one of the co-principals of NASA, the founders of NASA. So Raila Odinga, who is the ODM leader, has once over and over again said that NASA is not dead. In fact, last week but one when they were in Machakos, Raila said that they are still in talks to revive NASA. And Musalia Mudavadi, being one of the co-principals of NASA, in Central said that NASA is dead. Was this a ploy to to appeal to the central voters? Because he said that he was also out to open more and join more alliances.
No, I think the problem we are having here is that you remember they are trying to come up with the One Kenya Alliance. I think they're having legal challenges around there because they cannot get into One Kenya Alliance if they are still in NASA. They cannot sign the One Kenya Alliance if they are still in NASA. So what they are trying to do is like they have tried to remember they had threatened that they were going to exit from NASA, and then they found that there were a lot of legal challenges. One which was that they need to demonstrate to the office of the registrar that there is a dispute within NASA. So that meant they needed to go to court. But going to court again is a challenge because some of the parties within NASA coalition have internal issues, like Ford Kenya and even ANC. They have internal issues. So if they go to court, there are going to be challenges. One, there will be the question of exhaustion of internal dispute resolution mechanism within NASA. Then there will be the issue of legitimacy of some of the officials of those parties. So they found that route to be a dangerous route. Now I think they are adapting a political route. Keep talking about NASA is dead, NASA is dead, but in parliament you are operating as NASA. That's why I said if there is honesty in this discussion, then the first step is for them to disengage from committees that NASA has appointed their members. People like Mutula Kilonzo have to resign from the position he's holding of minority whip in the Senate. Honorable Mbui should resign from the position of deputy minority leader, which I'm willing to take as a member of NASA. So I think people have to be honest. And honesty is very important, and I think Honorable Raila is very wise by saying NASA is not dead, because NASA is alive in parliament. Two, I think it's important for them to understand the importance of coming together, because I can tell you for sure, if Honorable Kalonzo Musyoka, as my colleague Mulungi is saying, is going to go it alone, how far is he going to go?
In the history of
he will
Kenya,
just get a few votes from Kambani and he will go nowhere. If Honorable Musalia is insisting that he is going to go it alone, how far is he going to go in that race? He will excite a few voters from Vihiga and Kakamega. How far? And nowhere else.
How far would?
So they need to be realistic. They need to measure their weight and understand that they cannot do without coalitions. If they want to hasten their going into political oblivion, they need to go on with that kind of politics. I think it's important, and the Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta has been pushing for this, and the Honorable Raila has been pushing for this, that it is important to come together. But there are only two things. Either they are preparing to join deputy president, or they want to go it alone and hoping to force a runoff, which is a very risky political adventure. We have seen it. We saw it in 2013.
I don't think any presidential candidate would wish for a runoff.
No, some of these guys, the way they are behaving, it clearly tells you that maybe that is the strategy they have. They try and run separately, and then hoping that there will be a runoff. But they need to learn from 2007 scenario. They need to learn from 2013 scenario. They can still run and there will be no runoff. What happens? So I think it's smart and it's wise to be in a coalition, and that's why Raila Odinga is telling them, look here, please, we need to sit down and talk as NASA. We have issues of the funds. The issue they have been raising about funds, now Raila has opened up and said, I'm ready to discuss. He's written a letter to the registrar of political parties. So
the biggest issue
I'm ready to talk.
Mheshimiwa, the biggest issue here is the party funds.
The party funds, which I have said it is misleading. Because the coalition agreement is very clear that the funds to be shared are funds resulting from the presidential votes.
Yes.
And now the registrar of political parties and the attorney general directed that the data that was going to be used in computing the allocation of political parties fund on the presidential vote was the data for the repeat election, which NASA never participated. So really, if NASA never participated and they only participated in August 2017, so where is the money going to come from? And the ODM, I have seen a letter. They wrote to the constituent parties and told them that this is the communication we've gotten from the registrar of political parties. We are asking, can we jointly present a case before the Supreme Court for interpretation? They never participated. And now the money that ODM gets is a result of the votes emanating from other positions. That is MCA, MP, women rep, senator, and governor. And surely these other parties contested against ODM. You remember, like in Langata, we had ANC candidate, we had Wiper candidate, we had Ford Kenya candidate, and we had ODM candidate. And the Jubilee candidate, my good friend Nixon Korir, ended up winning. So now, how do you now tell ODM to share funds emanating from Langata election? It is not right.
And the information out there is that ODM has also written to the registrar of political parties to come out and help them to iron out and just to implement, see how they can implement the mandate on how this money can be shared. How is it going to be a political process now moving forward?
No, what ODM has done, I think is that is what I should have done. I would because the truth is there. What they have been saying in the media, it's not the truth. So let them be subjected to a legal process, and then they go there and give their facts. Because when they go there, the registrar will tell them, data for presidential, we are not using it. Because we are using repeat election of October 2017. The second thing he will tell them is that your coalition agreement is not clear on the issue of sharing of funds. It is no formula. The third thing he will tell them is that since we are not using money we are not using data for presidential election of August 2017, the money that I'm giving to ODM is emanating for this other position. So he will tell them the position that he has always said. And you know, this matter even came to Parliament. And the registrar was summoned in Parliament. And the registrar said, no, he has no money to give to the other parties. And that ODM is not legally obliged to share money with the other parties. They can if they want, but legally there is nothing binding to make them share that money.
Let's give...
So these facts will come out. And I think that is why there is a change of tact. They are not talking about funds now. They are now talking about NASA is dead. So now they have developed a political debate around it. But how I wish they appeared before the registrar of political parties, the party leaders, and discussed that matter. And the facts are brought to the table, that these are the facts. Then ODM may decide, okay, out of humanitarian, they may decide to share the money, but nothing legal about it. What they have been saying in public, it is not true.
Let me ask you,
I am an expert on matters of political parties law. I have experience in that. I understand what took place before and after the signing of the NASA coalition agreement.
What is the danger?
And I can tell you what you hear Honorable Musalia Mudavadi talking, what Kalonzo Musyoka is talking, what Weta is talking. It is not true at all. They are just playing politics.
Okay. We are going to get into that briefly, but before we go on a break, we have just 1 minute. What is the danger of Musalia Mudavadi ditching NASA? for 2022 presidential.
Give him credit. You know, he can ditch NASA and join another alliance. He can either join Ruto, or he can hope to make One Kenya alliance work. But if I was advising him, I would advise him to put a lot of focus in strengthening his party. ANC. First of all, he needs to call grassroots election. I told him last year that the term of office of the officials of the party had expired, and they need to call election. And they avoided that. They instead went and overhauled the party constitution to extend their stay in office for another 5 years. But now, last week, I saw the registrar of political parties has demanded that political parties needs to conduct grassroots election. So he cannot say he wants to be president of this country with a weak party. He needs to conduct grassroots election, have grassroots officials, and do national election. Otherwise, getting into a coalition with a weak party is another risk. Because how about if he gets into a coalition?
You will not have a beginning power.
If he gets into a coalition, and the coalition says we need now to go into election. This party produce a presidential candidate, this one, let us do election. Which delegates are going to vote for him? So if I were him, or if I was advising him, or if he's listening to me, I will advise him to focus on strengthening ANC party.
All right. Okay.
Because ANC now is a shell. It is a shell.
Everybody is saying that this party is a shell.
It's a shell.
NASA is a shell.
I can tell you.
Shell, ANC, shell.
All these parties except maybe ODM are shells.
It's interesting to hear that.
Jubilee is a shell. Wiper is a shell. ANC is a shell. Even UDA is a shell, even though they are trying to do, I give them credit. I have seen they are trying to do grassroots election and all that. What is important is that a party must exercise democracy. They must not just talk about democracy in the media. They must exercise democracy and strengthen its structures and have working structures.
Okay. All right. Okay.
That is what we are lacking in this country.
Okay. All right. Mheshimiwa, let's take a break. And we come back. It's interesting to hear that most of these parties are now remaining shells. I don't know how they are going to work out, but, you know, ahead of 2022 general election, as you put it, each and every party must strengthen their structural system in their parties for them to have even bargaining power when they come for coalitions. Okay. Now, let's take a break. And when we come back, we still have that story of Jubilee is also a shell. Is it true? More when you come back. Stick around. And welcome back. You're still watching Good Morning Kenya, and the show is Eye on Politics. You can reach me at on Victor Oloo. All right. So with me still in studio is Honorable Godfrey Osotsi, ANC Member of Parliament. Now, he's talked about perhaps ODM is the only party that has some strength remaining, but the remaining parties, constituent parties of NASA, are dead. The question is Jubilee Party dead? Now, let's get this story which was done by Jacob Curia with some leaders saying that Jubilee Party is also dead.
John Jogona Wanjiko, the MP-elect for Kiamba constituency.
Smarting from multiple losses in recent by-elections, the recent one being the Kiambaa parliamentary by-election in President Uhuru Kenyatta's backyard, the president, who is the Jubilee Party leader, has convened a crisis meeting next week that could see the exit of some of its officials. The president is reportedly unhappy with the management of the campaigns in Kiambaa. Limuru MP Peter Mwadhi, who was the chair of the campaigns in Kiambaa, and Kiambu Governor James Nyoro could be the subject of the president's tongue lashing when the meeting is convened. In the crosshairs of angry members also are Jubilee Secretary General Raphael Tuju, Party Chairman Nelson Zuya, and his deputy David Murathe. According to Kieni MP Kanini Kega, the party's executive committee and the management committee need an overhaul to give the party fresh impetus.
We have to make some decisions, hard decisions. And some of the hard decisions is to ask some of the officials of Jubilee to pave way for other fresh leaders to take part, in the destruction of the party. And they know themselves.
Baada ya kuwashinda Kiambaa, wameanza kufukuzana wenyewe. Yani wametufukuza, wamemaliza watu wa kufukuza, wamekosa mwingine, sasa wanafukuzana wenyewe.
I'm putting my party Jubilee on notice that nikiona hii melikabu yenu inaenda kuanguka, watu yangu ya Laikipia wameniambia mama kuwa mwanamke mwelevu, usikubali tuingie ndani ya bahari zote.
Sources reveal.
Mheshimiwa, politics is slightly and gradually gaining momentum, and we all saw this coming. At some point, there are going to be some fireworks. Is Jubilee dead? From your own perspective, Kiambaa happened, and now people are saying that, the three leaders, that is Honorable Zuya, Honorable Murathe, and Honorable Tuju, should quit the Jubilee Party. Perhaps from your own understanding, what is ailing the Jubilee Party? Is the president being misled?
Well, just like saying that NASA is dead,
yeah,
I think it would be unfair to say Jubilee is dead. Jubilee is alive. They are experiencing challenges here and there, just like any other political party. But I think they need to go to the drawing board, especially after the Kiambaa by-election.
Yeah,
that exposed a lot of weaknesses on their side. So they need to go to the drawing board and try to figure out what is ailing them.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that Jubilee needs to deal with is they need to decide once and for all whether they want to continue entertaining deputy president or not. Because clearly, deputy president is not in Jubilee. He has left and formed a new party called UDA. But he's in government. He's enjoying government resources. His people, friends, are in government as cabinet secretaries, as principal secretaries, as parastatal heads, and they're there. One leg in government and one leg in opposition, UDA. So I think that's one of the major challenges Jubilee has to deal with. They need to make a decision.
But why do you think they're taking time to make that decision?
That is what amazes even me. I don't know. Because this individual is the deputy president of the country. He has access to government secrets. He has access to intelligence information. And it is not fair or wise to keep him in there in government and is your competitor. So that is one thing that is ailing them. And very soon you are going to see, if they don't do anything, you are going to see an exodus out of Jubilee towards UDA, largely because the loss in Kiambaa has created some sense of hopelessness among politicians in Mount Kenya. You have seen Kate Waruguru talking there. That tells you something. I have also been in touch with some of the members of parliament from that region, and I can see the despair they are having. So they need to do something quickly, but most importantly, they need to deal with the Ruto factor. Because Ruto is in Jubilee and is also not in Jubilee. He's in government and is not in government. And he's eating them inside the government. He's eating them inside the government. So that is one important thing they need to deal with. And as I also said, a party is not just a name. A party is the systems, organs that work, that makes a party.
That's
Jubilee,
exactly,
I have said before we went for break that Jubilee is a shell. Because you remember what Jubilee did is that they brought together about 13 parties and they merged. And some of the parties that they brought together did not have structures. They brought them together, merged, and formed Jubilee. They have not done grassroots election. They have not done national election. Most of the people who are there are interim. Now, that is very dangerous. Look at the other parties, the same. The only party, and we must commend them for this, that has structures. If you talk about the NEC, the National Executive Committee, then you get people there coming there. If you talk about National Governing Council, you get the real people there. You talk about national delegates, you get the real people there. You talk about the grassroots structures in county, they are there. But most of these other parties, they don't even have offices.
But perhaps Mheshimiwa, that is
they don't
why
even have offices.
MP Kanini Kega said that, you know, the Jubilee Party should just have a structural system put in place. Some of the leaders should quit. And in this regard, they were referring, actually even in the newspaper here, they said that Jubilee chiefs blame Uhuru men for Kiambaa fiasco. That is Honorable Tuju and Honorable Murathe, who they've accused of not even appearing during campaigns.
Well, when Kieni MP talks about structural changes, I think when people talk about structural changes, they just talk about replacing so and so there and then patch up thing. I think a proper surgery for a political party is grassroots election. Get people from, you know, Ruto keeps on talking about bottom up. Get people from the bottom up to the national level. Then that is the party. But you find that most of these parties, they are party leaders. They want to keep them the way they are. They want to keep them briefcases so that they can now be walk around and claim, I am a party leader of so and so, I can negotiate for. But they don't want the people to own the party. They don't want parties to be a mass movement. They want parties to belong to a few people who can now trade with that briefcase party. That is not what should be happening. And I think the office of the registrar of political parties needs to be a bit tough on political parties. First of all, parties must be compelled to do elections from the grassroots to national.
And there is a timeline for that. There's a timeline.
They must have functional offices in at least 24 counties. And they must conduct proper grassroots recruitment processes. You have seen now, we have a problem now at the registrar of political parties, where some parties registered members fraudulently. And I'm told there is an investigation that is going on. We do not want to get there. That you find, Victor, you are in a party X and you have never been consented to joining that party. That is a scenario that we don't want in this country. We want to nurture a strong democracy. And nurturing a strong democracy means having strong political parties that are owned by the masses and are not owned by individuals.
Let me ask you this question. Is the president so much keen on strengthening the Jubilee Party?
He has no choice. He has to strengthen the Jubilee Party. He has to strengthen the Jubilee
What are we likely to see moving forward?
We are going to see some changes in Jubilee Party. What I don't know is what form of changes they will take. If they will be just replacing one person there and here, he will not be solving the problem. It will be like treating cancer with Panadol. I think what is required is a total overhaul of that party. Conduct grassroots election, then escalate to the national election. And then now that will be our proper political party. Because I want to tell you that Jubilee now is in discussion with the ODM on how to form a coalition.
Yes.
ODM has structures. If you look at their structures, I was amazed the other day to look at their structures in my county, Vihiga County.
Yeah.
They have structures from the polling station. 20 people, youth, 20 women, 20 mainstream. Then again at the ward level like that. Then at the branch constituency level like that. And then at the county level like that. That is how a party should be organized. And then at the national level, you also have organs that are working. You have a NEC that is working. You have a National Governing Council that is working. You have a NDC that is working. And you have committees that are working. Now, most parties in Kenya do not have that. They are run, they never hold NEC meetings. If they hold NEC meetings, they sit in a hotel, draw up minutes, 2 people, sign it, and that is a NEC meeting.
Yeah, that is dangerous for a
They never do that.
For a political party.
Find out, you are a journalist.
Yeah.
Ask these parties, when did they do their NEC meetings? And ask them to call a NEC meeting and you attend as a guest of the NEC. You never get that opportunity. Because they are supposed to run as briefcases. These are individual people's property that will become useful during election time. After election, they cease to exist. Now, people are talking about parties now. Once we are done with the 2022 election, no one will be talking about political parties.
Yes.
And that is why,
until the next
why I ask the registrar of political parties, Annie Nderitu, please, you owe this country a responsibility of ensuring that the political parties act and the regulations are followed.
Yes.
If the political parties act and regulations are strictly followed, we probably would be having 3 or 4 political parties in Kenya. And not 70 political parties that we have now at the moment.
All right. Mheshimiwa, briefly, what is your take on Kiambaa by-election from where you sit?
Well, the results of Kiambaa by-election is interesting. Interesting because UDA, now they have their first member of parliament.
Yes.
The gentleman who was elected. And Kiambaa is in Kiambu County, where the president comes from. So it is interesting. First of all, the results were like 50-50.
Yeah, a difference of 510 votes.
Just above 400 votes. Now, that is interesting to both sides.
Yeah.
And if I was Deputy President William Ruto, I will not sit pretty and celebrate. Something is wrong somewhere. Because all this work he has done in central Kenya, in Mount Kenya, Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta has not worked as hard, politically hard, as Ruto has worked.
Yes.
But he has managed to get only 50% of the vote. The other 50% belong to Uhuru Kenyatta. So what will happen if Uhuru Kenyatta now decides to work hard politically in Mount Kenya? The tide will change. Number 2, Honorable William Ruto is hoping that he will get massive support from his Rift Valley, and then add on to Mount Kenya and maybe a few other areas and win the presidency. Now it is looking unlikely, resulting from the Kiambaa outcome, that he may not get the support he's thinking he will get.
Okay.
He will share that support with Uhuru Kenyatta.
Yes.
And Uhuru Kenyatta may decide to take that support to another candidate. So I think this is a moment of reflection for both the politician.
Yes.
Honorable Uhuru Kenyatta, again, it means he has to do a lot of work in Mount Kenya region, so that he can sustain the support he has been having in that area. The other factor that is coming from Kiambaa election is what people need.
Yes.
What people need is key. You saw the Jubilee candidate and you saw the UDA candidate. The UDA candidate seems to have resonated very well
with the Mwananchi,
and the youthful population. And sometimes this election is not about parties.
Yeah.
It is about personalities around it. Many parts of this country, people may not vote individuals because of political parties. They may vote individuals because of their profile, because of their work and relationship with the people. So those are some of the things that we can learn from Kiambaa by-election. It is not about the money. It is not about government machinery. It is not about propaganda, but it is about what people want.
Okay. Talk of Deputy President William Ruto. He was in Kilifi over the weekend, and let's just listen to what he said from this particular story.
Day 2 of his coastal tour featured a church service in Kwale County and a roadside address in Kilifi County. Ruto drumming support for his bottom-up economic model, saying his main agenda is to empower the youth.
Wakati mnasikia tukisema bottom up, hiyo bottom up ni kwa sababu hivyo ndivyo Biblia inavyosema. Ukisoma kitabu ya Zaburi 113 mstari wa 7 na 8, neno la Mungu linasema Mungu humtoa mtu mnyonge mavumbini, na huyo Mungu humfanya mtu maskini na fukara wakaketi meza moja na wafalme.
What do you make of that statement?
Well, you see, Victor, this idea of bottom up that is being sold by UDA, I think is a myth, because they are not telling us what about bottom up. What kind of policies, what kind of programs are going to support bottom up approach? They don't tell us.
Perhaps
and that is why I think this bottom up, it's those ideas of David Indi, which are largely academic and they're not practical. We have worked with him in NASA, and I can tell you that David Indi's ideas are too academic. They're not practical, and that is why UDA is not able to tell us what is bottom-up approach. And I think Honorable Raila has really come out very well to talk about rural economies. That let us develop rural economies, let us create industries in the rural area, let us empower our rural people, let us work on urbanization of our rural areas. That is now tangible. But when you talk about just bottom up, what is bottom up? And in any case, these guys are not even genuine with what they are saying, because the same fellows have fought any attempt to empowering people in the grassroots. You know, in 2010, they fought the introduction of devolution. By voting against the referendum then, which now gave us this constitution we have
right now.
Now, in BBI, we have very key proposals that are going to engineer the rural areas. We have the World Development Fund, which we're going to empower the villages. We have the CDF, which is now going to be anchored into the constitution. And there will be chance to increase the allocation of CDF. Then we have the increased revenue sharing between the national government and the county government from 15% to 35%. They are fighting that initiative. Then we have tax holidays for the youth. In the rural areas, they are fighting those. Now they come, after fighting BBI very vigorously, they now come and tell us that bottom-up approach. And they're not telling us which programs are going to support bottom-up approach.
And on that note,
nothing.
The two leaders, now ODM leader Raila Odinga and the deputy president, say that, you know, the deputy president accuses ODM leader of hijacking the whole idea and agenda of bottom-up economy.
No, the difference between what Raila and Ruto have said is that Ruto talks about hustlers. He does not tell us how he's going to empower these hustlers. He's just saying hustlers, but no program to empower them. Raila has not talked about hustlers. He has talked about rural economies. In the rural area, we have poor people, we have rich people, we have middle income earners. We have all sorts of people in the villages.
And he talked about industrialization.
What he says, let us industrialize the villages. Let us also improve the infrastructure in the villages. Let us also encourage modern farming in the villages. Now, that is what is called rural economy. And it is affecting everyone. It is not a class issue, the way Ruto is doing it with the hustlers. It is for all Kenyans. And that has worked in other countries. Remember now in Ghana, there is a policy that we must have a manufacturing plant in at least every district in Ghana. That is part of trying to empower rural economies. Now that is the same thing we need in this country. We industrialize the villages. If we do that, we will even reduce the social challenges we are having in our main cities. The slums and crime will go down because people will stay in their villages. And that cannot be done if we do not have very specific programs like increasing the revenue sharing in devolution, strengthening devolution, having things like World Development Fund, which are contained in BBI. So I wonder how Ruto wants to achieve bottom-up approach without having specific programs around it. The difference with what Raila is saying and what Ruto is saying is that Ruto has nothing that he's saying. He's simply talking about hustlers. He wants those youth to continue hustling the way they are hustling. But Raila has tangible solution for the rural economies, so that once the rural areas develop, then we are going to increase our exports and our balance of payment, balance of trade will improve, the economy will improve, and everyone will benefit. Not just the hustlers alone.
Mheshimiwa, in just 1 minute, now Justin Muturi, who is the House Speaker, now says that, you know, CJ, you have to go slow or else we'll starve your funds. What do you take on that in 1 minute, if you may, please?
I think the CJ is out of order. And I said that because the CJ cannot direct Parliament what to do. Parliament has powers under Article 95(4) to do three things. One, to allocate funds, to appropriate, and also to oversight those funds. Now, judiciary is one of the state organs that benefits from that function of Parliament. We allocate funds to judiciary, we appropriate, and we have to oversight. Judiciary has so many queries in the Auditor General's report. Do you know how much they have been spending on constructing courts? They spent 400 million to construct a court in Garissa. Same amount in Makueni. Look at what Kivuta Kibwana spent in putting up a hospital. It was a half of that amount in the same place. Now, when Auditor General questions that, and the Parliament has a responsibility to oversight and call the people then you come and tell us that we cannot call you. Who are you? I think when we go back, we will have to revisit that issue.
Yeah.
Because all state officers, even people from the independent commissions, they have a responsibility to be oversighted by Parliament.
All right. Mheshimiwa, allow me to just hold that debate there. Perhaps it's just going to be a debate on its own next time, so that we can discuss more from the legal perspective and from the parliamentary angle, how this is going to pan out. Because as it is, now this is a threat, you know, threaten us more, we are going to starve you. All right, we are taking a break, and when we come back, the show still continues. We're not yet done. And of course, we'll be here with Honorable Godfrey Osotsi. Stick around. Good Morning Kenya still continues.